Good evening, everyone. We will call the April 2, 2012 City Council meeting to order. First order of business is the roll call. Charlene.
Nordstrom. Mason. Doyle. Sasso. Davis. Peterson. Roberts. Brown. Wright. Laurenti. Thank you.
We have a quorum. The next order of business is an executive session for the purposes permitted by SDCL 1-25-2. And Joel, if you could state the reasons.
The reason is to consult with legal counsel regarding pending litigation. I do expect that afterwards I'll be requesting direction from the council.
Do we have a motion? So moved. Motion by Roberts, second by Peterson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We're in executive session. Do we have a motion to come out of executive session? Motion by Brown, second by Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Do we have a motion? Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. We're looking for direction, or I guess authorization, to sign a stipulation with Glenn Yellowrobe whereby we'll agree not to seek any attorney fees or other fees in exchange for him not appealing the grant of summary judgment in favor of the city.
Motion by Peterson, second by Wright. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We now move to our invocation, and we'll recognize Pastor Scott Craig. Everyone, please rise.
Great to be with you here tonight. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for life. We thank you again for this wonderful country that we live in, and specifically this great state and this great city. And we thank you for those that you have put in charge to think, to discern, to make decisions. And we ask God right now that tonight you would make your presence known, that you would grant clarity of thought, you would give them expediency as they determine what to do, what not to do, given this slate that is before them tonight. God, I ask you that you bless them, you bless their families, you reimburse them somehow for all the time and the effort that they put in their roles here. Their work is vital, and we don't want to take them for granted. Would you bless them tonight and help them again work together, side by side, and think together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Scott. Our next order of business is adoption of the agenda. So far, we have two items to add to the agenda. We have item 53A, which will be an update from Charity Doyle on the Compass program, and 53B, an update from John Roberts on his trip to Washington. Are there any other items to add to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda with the changes noted? We have a motion by Brown and a second by Peterson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We now have our Citizen of the Month, and is Charles Henry here tonight? Is Charles Henry here tonight? Charles is not here. Okay, we'll save that for next time. And if library management could come down, and if Rhonda Berger could come up. Is Rhonda here tonight? Rhonda, we want to take a moment to thank you for your 30 years of service to the city. Thank you very much for your dedication and commitment to our community. And I'd like to turn the microphone over to Greta for a few words.
One of the things that I've thought about over the course of time is certainly that Rhonda has seen a tremendous amount of change. 30 years in a position, and certainly within libraries, you're going to see that. And then the next thing that came to mind is, I think there's a myth out there that if you stay in your job for a long time, that it makes it easier. And I would certainly say that that wouldn't be the case, because there's no place to hide. People know who you are. They know about your attitude and your aptitude in that respect. And certainly Rhonda has brought over the years, leadership and commitment to her position. And so for that, I'm sure that the city is grateful and acknowledges that, the Board of Trustees and myself as the administrator. So congratulations, Rhonda, and thank you.
Thank you.
Now is the time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I do have one general public forum comment from Ann Henriksen. Ann?
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Quaker and council members for listening tonight. I'm here on behalf of Allied Arts, and I'm actually a member of the Rapid City Concert Association. So I'm just here to promote art for our children. I believe that art makes our kids smarter. One of my favorite movies is My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which many of you have probably seen. It's one of my favorites. It follows a big Greek family. Tula, and she is wanting to get married to someone who's not Greek. And of course, one of the best characters in the movie is Gus, her dad, who loves to embarrass his daughter in carpools by having her friends bring up words, and then he says, "Give me a word, and I will show you that it has a Greek root." And so he will do that, much to her dismay and to the chagrin of all her friends. I'd like to use the same analogy when speaking about our children and the influence that the arts have. I would say that without arts, our kids' lives aren't going to be as smart. It makes their lives better. It gives kids confidence. Many of you who have participated in the arts know that if you prepared for a first recital or for a music contest or a concert, you know that the satisfaction that gives you and the confidence that it gives you. It also builds creativity, and I think that goes without saying. I don't need to even give you an example about that. It's also very inspiring. Children who succeed in music and with their performances in plays, they inspire others to do the same, their peers and even their elders. It takes a lot of discipline in music, and that's very important for children. And of course, they learn humility. Any of us who have ever performed know that we make mistakes, and you learn from those mistakes just as well as when you do well, and you know you live to perform another day. I also would maintain that just like sports, music is a team activity. If you've been in a band or a chorus or any kind of a musical group, you know that it takes all the notes to make the songs. So I would maintain it as a team sport. In closing, I'd like to use an example like Gus would use, and I would take the word smart, and I would tell you that the root of that word is art. So please don't take the art out of our schools. Please support it, because we need it to make our kids smart. So thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you. We do not have any additional general public comments. Did I miss anyone? Okay. We'll now move on to non-public hearing items 3 through 53, and we'll open public comment on items 3 through 32. We have a motion to open public comment on. We have a motion by Peterson and a second by Roberts to open public comment on 3 through 32. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Public comment is now open on items 3 through 32. I have multiple speaker request forms for items 4 and 46. And so in the interest of streamlining the discussion, if you do speak on item 4, if you could keep that in mind when we get to item number 46. So first speaker request form is for Frank Morrison on item number 4. Mr. Morrison.
I really hate going first, but I guess I'll do it anyway. So this is just on item 4, the alcohol, right, at Summer Nights?
You can talk about 4 and 46 if you'd like.
Okay. Well, Tony is the numbers guy. He's going to wallow you guys with the actual effect that Summer Nights has on downtown business. I'm just going to say that it's Summer Nights is a great thing for downtown. I mean, it's incredible. I think it ranks up there with a Rush hockey game, Central States Fair, on probably a smaller scale, the Sturgis Rally. I mean, this is really getting to be big, and it is a tremendous asset to downtown business. If any of you are planning to vote against it, I hope you have an alternative plan to bring that many people downtown and another way to finance it. You know, the alcohol sales are what makes the thing go, and I've never seen an issue with people that have been at the Summer Nights as far as being disorderly or anything like that. They have a great time. We had 2 couples from a small town in Canada last year stopped in, and they asked what was going on downtown. They could feel the vibe, I guess. And so I told them it was Summer Nights, and I said, you need to go down. I think the band was Abbey Road. And they went, and they came back, and they had been to Denver and Yellowstone and whatever, and they came back to Thirsties and said, this is the most fun we've ever had. They said, your town is so friendly and so happy. People are smiling, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to go back home and tell their friends that, you know, Rapid City is a really happy, friendly town. I mean, it's okay Friday morning to be our grumpy selves again, but on Thursday, everybody's happy. And I commend Sandy and the rest of the crew for what they've done, and I hope you all vote to keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll now go to Terry Nelson. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I'm Terry Nelson. I'm actually chairman of the bid board of Business Improvement District Downtown, but I'm actually speaking for myself tonight because I've no action from the board or anything like that. But I'm here. I'm real concerned about the aspect of possibly not having an alcohol permit. And here again, I've never been, big for alcohol, and like I say, I have not drank downtown. But you have to remember that Sandy Swan and her board, they studied a lot the finances of Summer Nights, how Summer Nights are done. And I know they've gone to Billings, and I know they went to 4 other communities, and they found that one of the ways to have events, of course, for children all the way up through adults is through alcohol sales. And a couple, 2, 3 things in terms of alcohol sales. I've attended probably about half the Summer Nights, and I've yet to see anybody on the street intoxicated. Now, there may have been, I'm not sure, but I have never seen anybody intoxicated. Another couple things. This is much bigger. You don't stop to think about it. This is much bigger, the Summer Nights, than just Summer Nights and alcohol. Much bigger. I'll give you an example. I work quite strongly in terms of trying to get Main Street Square and approval and voting and stuff like that. I really believe without Summer Nights, Main Street Square would not exist. And that's, I don't think anybody now, we had a lot of people, for example, question Main Street Square when it was built. And we've got, it's interesting, I get out about once a week to see 1 or 2 businesses, and also one of the thrills sometimes I get a chance, Mayor and I will go out and take a morning, maybe once a month or something, going out and talk, and we talk to a lot of people that are very positive about Main Street Square, summer nights, and whatever. And a lot of very, very good business happened. It's interesting, just some of the things. It's bigger than the alcohol permit. Just stop to think. And this has just happened just recently. For example, last week, Downtown Association with Destination Rapid City had an auction. And they had an auction, and most of the items for the auction came from the people downtown. And they raised over $15,000 for the YMCA. So the only reason I say that, you need to think about that. Another thought I'll just mention, Sunday, for example, without Main Street Square, we're going to have our first sunrise service, 6 o'clock. 10 churches are involved. So when you think about the alcohol permit and everything, you have to remember, I really enjoy, I have to talk about Sandy Swan because I admire her greatly. You got to remember, she probably wouldn't have alcohol if there's some other way to finance it. And right now there isn't. No tax dollars or anything like that. But one thing I can say about Sandy Swan, she always has her heart in the right place. And I really mean that. So thank you.
Thank you. And we'll now go to Mallory. Your previous last name was a lot easier to pronounce.
It was so much easier
Heitzenroder.
before.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Mallory Heitzenroder, formerly Mallory Schwan. I'm here to talk about the family-friendly nature of Summer Nights. I am the Kid Street coordinator for the event, and I am the chair of the Kid Street committee by default. I am actually a committee of one. As one person, I've executed 50 events, and in those 50 events, my Kid Street at Summer Nights has increased trifold, both in square footage and in the financial support that I receive for that part of the event. The Kid Street has always been a loss leader, and that was a decision that we made from day one as a board. We always knew that we were never going to make money providing these activities for children and their families, but it was extremely important to everyone that we be able to offer them at little to no cost to these families. I have a 5-year-old stepdaughter, and I know for a fact what it costs to spend 3 hours at Chuck E. Cheese, and I think it's pretty impressive that we can provide that same amount of entertainment for less than $5 per child. I'm only able to do this because of the profitability of this event. Without it, I'm unable to provide a jumping castle for $1 all night long. And that profitability comes from the event as a whole, not from the Kid Street. We've never made a dime on the Kid Street. In fact, we lose a significant amount of money every night. Beyond that, the Kid Street alone has donated $19,500 to local area nonprofits, most of which are youth organizations, by having their youth come and staff that part of the event. They have a wonderful time when they're down there. They're excellent volunteers, and most of them learn the importance of giving back to the community by coming down and volunteering with the kids and families on the Kid Street of this event. I also partner with a number of nonprofits who come down and are able to promote the services that they provide to their community in exchange for providing some of those activities for our children. One of those organizations is the library, who has left, but the library who is here tonight is one of the best organizations that I have that come down there. I'm only able to do my job because I have unwavering support from the board that's here tonight. I have continually asked them for more and more money and more support in order to provide these services to our community and to our children, and they've given me that because we've planned our event successfully and we've had enough profitability to give that kind of money back to the Kid Street. And so I respectfully ask that you remember the impact that we have on kids and families in this event, and that our profitability is vital to providing those activities. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to Dawn Connor. Dawn?
Good evening. I'm on the Summer Nights board, but I'm also a parent of 2 teenage children, and I know there's been a lot of controversy about the alcohol sales at Summer Nights, but I also want to take a minute to point out some of the positive role models that come from Summer Nights. Both of my children attend almost every week, and they put in a lot of hours helping out wherever they can. And the behavior they choose to model is of the positive role models that they see from our community, putting in the countless time and effort it takes to run this event and other events in our community. The people that do this and that volunteer are our Kiwanis, our Optimists, our JCs. They serve on boards and associations, and they're the mentors to our young people. You know, my children have got a chance to interact with police officers who they may never have otherwise met. And the people here put in time, money, and sweat equity into making this a great community for all of us and our children, as do a lot of the patrons that come to summer nights and may be enjoying an alcoholic beverage. But that doesn't make them a bad example for my kids and other kids. It's my responsibility as a parent to point out the good examples around us and the examples of community spirit, volunteering, responsibility, and caring. So taking away the alcohol sales from summer nights doesn't take away the negative role models that my kids see. They face those every day on the street corner, at schools, in movies, TV shows. And what it would do is take away an event that thousands of people enjoy, promotes a sense of pride in our community, and even does teach our kids good role models and behaviors. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have 5 speaker request forms on item 46. If you would like to speak on item 4 instead of 46, you can speak now, or otherwise we'll wait for these 5 items to be on item 46. Okay? All right. Do we have any? We do not have any additional speaker request forms on items 3 through 32. Can we have a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
We have a motion by Peterson and a second by Brown. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We are now on consent items 3 through 30. And if you'd like to remove an item from consent, please hit your light. Jordan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to remove item number 14.
Item number 14. Jerry Wright. Okay, so far we have 14 and 16. Ron Sasso.
I was just pulling 16 as well, so
Okay.
thank you.
Any additional items? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve consent calendar items 3 through 30 with the exception of 14 and 16 for separate consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Davis, second by Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, Gary Brown. Could you read this into the record for us?
Yes, Mayor. Number 14 is establish standing committee on sustainability. I move to approve.
We have a motion by Brown and a second by Peterson, and we'll go to Jordan Mason. Jordan?
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I pulled this is we've had a number of discussions about streamlining different committees and task force, and it seems that while we keep having this reoccurring discussion about streamlining, we keep adding more and more task force and committees, and I just wanted to know if this, as an additional task force, has been discussed about asking the FLUP, Future Land Use, or some other committee that is already existing to look at some of these issues and to utilize the many and various committees that we already have.
Jerry, would you like to take a swing at that?
I'll take a swing and try to hit it out of the park. Thank you. Thanks, Jordan. We did talk about, and it was discussed with Eric and myself, and I think I talked to Jeff, as to whether it would fit under another committee. And this group is rooted into the sustainability program that was started about 2+ years ago when council members went to the League of Cities program in Portland and came back. And this, I think, has emphasis in areas of interest that go into areas that are not covered by existing committees. For instance, sustainability is how can we conserve water through our construction and development of processes, the irrigation system, and so forth. So it's a little different than anything we've done so far. So I recommend support of this. And, of course, if it doesn't prove worthwhile, we'll do away with it. But I think that there's a lot of potential to bring us into a green city. That's where we need to go. Thank you.
Jordan?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think, if there is no other alternative, I mean, I'm definitely in support of going green and streamlining our processes, but I do want to, as we keep adding more committees, keep in mind that if there's a way to consolidate here and streamline those processes, I think we should. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Any further discussion on the motion? The motion is to approve item 14. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, Gary?
Thank you, Mayor. Number 16, to acknowledge the 2011 Rapid City pedestrian bike crash report and request an executive summary at City Council. I move to acknowledge.
We have a motion by Brown and a second by Peterson to acknowledge. Ron Sasso.
This is something that I know, even though we've looked at this, I think there's more that definitely needs to be done. This is an area where we're leading the state, and it's not even close, that we're well ahead of everyone else in South Dakota as far as with pedestrian accidents and trying to get some information, like, for instance, looking at, I know a little over a year ago, the police department was looking at raising awareness. There are some things that I know Patsy Horton is going to be gathering more data regarding when the injuries and incidents took place to ramp up an additional campaign for awareness. Looking at those signs that are at crosswalks, those estimates are about $270 for those signs. That partnered with further awareness of getting people to understand they have to use the crosswalks. To me, this is something we do need to do more than just look at the report, say this is great, and move on. Actually, I think the Journal article was great. I was very appreciative because that helps with raising that awareness. But everyone out there has to be aware. Drivers, pedestrians, cyclists have to be aware of the danger. So this is something I think we'll continue. I know I want to continue looking at and seeing if we can make some serious changes here and make some improvements and make Rapid City safer so that we're no longer leading the state. Thank you.
Jerry Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo Ron's comments, but also one reason that I wanted to pull it off was to bring the emphasis to the entire council and to the community, the need to maybe refresh our efforts in these areas, not just through our police department and our traffic department, but also wasn't too many years ago, many civic organizations ran bicycle safety programs and pedestrian safety programs. So I put a challenge out to our entire community to review this report and see where they fit in helping to solve the problem. I know that we've got the Safe to School program. There's a lot of things that can be done. The VFW used to have a bicycle safety program. I would like to see every single organization that can possibly contribute get involved and do something on their own little level or on the community-wide, and anything we can do, let's do it. And I thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're now on the continued consent items 31 and 32. We have a motion to continue those items till April 16. We have a motion by Brown, second by Roberts. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now on public comment period for items 33 through 53. Can we have a motion to open public comment? Motion by Roberts, second by Doyle. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have several speaker request forms, and we'll first go to Malcolm Chapman on item 46.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Malcolm Chapman, and I was asked to facilitate a meeting of the Summer Nights Executive Committee and downtown businesses and the community at large. And I think that request came from the Council at some point to hold a public forum like that. The Summer Nights Executive Committee did that. This report is linked on your electronic agenda. I would just like to highlight that there are 6 recommendations that I made. 3 for the advisory committee, which was asked to be formed, 1 request for the City of Rapid City, and then 1 recommendation for the Summer Nights Executive Board itself. And the first recommendation was to form a committee. That's the only one that wasn't assigned to anyone in particular. I have kind of taken the challenge of that and done outreach to all the stakeholders that were that came forward in that meeting. And there's a meeting doodle out there now, and 7 of the 12 so far have responded to that. So that meeting is being planned and is underway. I'd like to just say that at that meeting, the process that we used was, first of all, asking the question first off, if anyone who was present at the meeting, there were 60 community folk at the meeting, if anyone wanted to see Summer Nights go away. And no one raised their hand, no one responded. So I took that as a premise that we want to keep Summer Nights alive and active to help create a more vibrant downtown. So having established that, we then asked what was good about Summer Nights, and all of those responses are on your electronic agenda. From there, we said, what are the concerns or what are the issues? And a list of concerns came up, and then we identified a list of stakeholders that came up as well. And I'm asking that the council at least give that committee a chance to be formed, create some space, and let that committee that's formed, that advisory committee, then work towards solving those issues. Some of those issues are already being solved and being worked on, but I think that Summer Nights has proven already in the 5 years that it's been here now that this is a marathon. So we're not going to solve all of these issues before Summer Nights starts this year, but continue to give space to that advisory committee so that they can do their work. I submit my report respectfully to the council and to the citizens of this community. And if there are any questions, I'll be here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. And we'll now go to Sandy Schwan. Sandy?
Good evening, Mayor Quaker, members of the council. I'm Sandy Schwan, resident of Rapid City, president of Rapid City Summer Nights. There's been a lot of talk about Summer Nights in the last few days, few weeks. Most of what's been said has been positive, some not, and a few statements were just not factual. As requested, and as you just heard, we held our forum to listen to the ideas and the opinions of our community and others. As always, we have attempted to make adjustments wherever possible and compromise when necessary. These are the people that bring you Summer Nights. Stand up. These volunteers work countless hours all year long planning this event, and each of them gives up 5 to 8 hours of their life every Thursday afternoon in the summer to make sure that Summer Nights is safely executed for the Rapid City public, the tourists, and the people of the surrounding communities. There's a permit before you tonight. It's been approved by the Rapid City Police Department and the Legal and Finance Committee. At this point, we feel we've made all the statements necessary and reasonably possible regarding how and why we execute this event for the citizens of Rapid City. And tonight, we stand before you respectfully, and we have only one last request: a vote, yes or no.
Thank you, Sandy. We'll go to Scott Temple. Scott?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Scott Temple. I'm from Spearfish. I am a Summer Nights volunteer, but I also have the same position in Spearfish for our event called Downtown Friday Nights that Sandy has for Summer Nights. What I'd like to do is give you a little perspective on how Summer Nights has impacted communities outside of Rapid City. Our event in Spearfish a couple of years ago was once a month. We looked at what Summer Nights was doing. We realized it might be a little bit better model. We explored it a bit. I talked to Sandy a number of different times, and because of the help and the support that I got from Sandy and the board members from Summer Nights, we were able to expand our Downtown Friday Nights from 4 events last summer to 15, 4 events 2 years ago to 15 this last summer. What it has done for the community has been something that it's difficult at very best to put a real figure on exactly how it has impacted the community. But what I can tell you is that every night after my job is done with our Downtown Friday Night, after people are done chasing me down, looking to me to fix the things that are wrong, whatever they might be, I would go back to the back of the event and just stand and watch the crowd. And what I saw would be 1,000, 1,500 happy faces. and that's the impact that it's had on our community, and that would not have happened had it not been for the help that we in Spearfish received from Summer Nights. Now, what else has happened from that, this idea has expanded from Rapid up to Spearfish, and now it has expanded up to Deadwood as well. Deadwood came to me, they asked me about this, they wanted to know how we did it, and I said, well, I like to take credit for it, I can't. And I told them how it is we did it, and what we've done now is between Rapid City, Spearfish, and Deadwood, we had consecutive nights for the events in each of the communities. So what has happened with this is this event, the impact that it's had on Rapid City has spread throughout the Northern Hills, and what I expect to see is it will be something that will spread throughout the entire region. And the reason that it was able to was because of the support and the help that we received from this group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now go to Ann Hendrickson.
Back. Ann Hendrickson now speaking on behalf of Summer Nights. I was in the unique position of being in the leadership class that started Summer Nights in the summer of 2008. I'm also a business owner that happened to have been on 7th Street for the first 2 years of the event, and now I'm on 6th Street downtown. So I helped for the first couple of years, then I've stepped back, and now I'm an active participant in Summer Nights. I've had a vantage point of watching it grow the way our class expected it to grow, and actually beyond our expectations. This has been a wonderful event. I'm truly one of this sandwich generation. I come down some summer nights and bring my grandchildren and jump in the jumping castle and ride on the train and eat lots of rotten candy. Then I come down with my parents. My brother had a vendor spot, and my parents would come down most weeks, and we'd sit and eat cupcakes and watch the kids ride the train. And I also have adult children that would come down, and we would participate in the beer garden some of those evenings. So Summer Nights has been wonderful for families, generations of families, and it's been wonderful for downtown. You're not going to please everybody, and I know there's been some controversy, but overall, Summer Nights is a wonderful, wonderful event that must continue. So please help us do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to Anthony DeMauro. Anthony?
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present to the board. My objective tonight is to take you through, kind of rehash some of the old ideas that I presented, but also kind of present a new concept. As I was thinking about this, I really wanted to bring something new to the table because I've been to several of these meetings, and as many of you may recall, I'm a pretty adamant supporter of this for several reasons. So I want to begin by recapping my prior statements that I have made and then go into a new one that I think trumps all of them, okay? And like Frank said, I also have some numbers to share with you as well. So first and foremost, from an employment standpoint, our staff is typically about 10 people on a Thursday night. We go to nearly 30 on Thursdays. It is the equivalent of a Friday or Saturday night for us, which, as any of you may know, our servers do pretty well. Our backhouse folks also communicate or contribute to the community as well by putting that money back in through spending. So having that extra night is an entire bonus for every single one of our employees, and it's a great opportunity to make more money for them. It also, in my opinion, improves the quality of life. It gives a great opportunity to get together with people. There are friends of mine from high school that I haven't seen in years that I get a chance to catch up with, and you don't get that opportunity everywhere else. It brings thousands of people of like-minded to the same place, and I think that is really unique, and I think it's really tremendous. Third, I think it has a tremendous impact on local restaurant sales. I'll have a graph that I'll show you that actually shows our sales went down by 60% directly after Summer Nights. And we're not talking about a scale of hundreds. This is a much larger scale. We're a pretty sizable place that has about 800 people capacity. So that kind of an impact obviously has direct tax dollar relations as well, okay? So, but what I'd like you to consider above all, as I got to really thinking about this, is I just moved back about 2 years ago from Boston to take on this opportunity. And when I left, Rapid City was a much different place. And now that I've moved back, the investment in downtown is tremendous. From things like the Zoom Soda Company, so you can just walk in and get all these cool candies and soda, or Dakota Soda Company and get a fresh local burger made by local folks. These places are amazing. And so I think about how hard it was for us to get started. I can tell you that after 9 months of being open, there's still people that don't know that Murphy's is open. That's kind of mind-boggling to me. We've had 8 news stories, 6 stories in the Journal. We've had South Dakota Public Broadcasting that did a special on us around Thanksgiving. I've also spent about $30,000 on marketing, billboards, TV, radio. And there are still some people out there that don't know that we're open. So think about the thousands and thousands of people that are traveling to downtown every Thursday. They're going to walk past this great, vibrant downtown that is just amazing right now. And they need to see this to believe it. They need a reason to come down. A lot of people haven't been downtown for quite some time, so there's no reason to. These people need a reason to come back downtown, and this provides a tremendous opportunity for that. So with that said, I'm going to share a graph with you to leave you with this thought. If I can go ahead and get this to work real quick. Lights dim. All right. So the graph's pretty simple, and anybody who wants to get this data, I can take you through the exact sales data if you sign a confidentiality agreement. But on the left-hand side is sales. On the right-hand side is the dates. You can see here this is the first Summer Nights, and you can see if this is when Summer Nights stops. If we could make it any more clear than that, I don't know how we'd do that.
Thank you.
Be happy to take anybody through any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one more speaker request form from Kent Haig, item 43. Kent? Item 43.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm here in the capacity just to answer questions, should there be any further questions on the plat approval for request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do not have any further speaker request forms on items 33 through 53. Did I miss anyone? Okay.
I didn't know there was a form to sign, sir.
Yes, if you could identify yourself for the record, and which item would you like to speak on?
Item 46.
Okay.
My name is Angel Adams. I own a catering business here in Rapid City for the last 15 years. I appreciate you all listening to me right now. I've been part of Summer Nights for the past 4 years. It's turned my business completely around. It's really kept our small businesses here afloat, because it's really hard to do that sometimes when winter comes and stuff like that. The thing that I wanted to really bring up is this event is free. There's a lot of people on budgets right now that don't have this opportunity to take their kids to a small concert or to blow up castles or just to enjoy a good dinner and out in a beautiful downtown setting. And to agree with the gentleman before, we've come so far, and to take this away not to expose our city, it would be just tremendous. I would love to see a vote of yes tonight. Thank you so much for listening.
Seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment on 33 through 53? We have a motion by Brown and a second by Roberts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now on item 33. Jordan?
Thank you, Mayor. Item 33. Yeah, second reading of ordinance number 5804, an ordinance establishing timeframes for the completion of projects funded through the Rapid City Economic Development and Civic Improvement Fund, commonly known as the Vision Fund, by amending section 3.16.020 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, and I move to approve.
Motion by Mason, second by Doyle. Any discussion? We'll go to Joel Landine, our city attorney. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure that we're clear on which version is being approved. Is this the version that was recommended by the Legal and Finance Committee that contained the new language that I had provided previous to that meeting?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 34. Jordan?
Item 34 is second reading ordinance number 5805, an ordinance to provide for terms of members of the Opportunity Capture Fund Oversight Board by amending section 3.22.020 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, and I move to approve.
Motion by Mason, second by Laurenti. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 35. Jordan?
Item 35 is second reading ordinance number 5807, an ordinance to revise the types of checks for which service charges apply by amending section 9.04.010 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, and I move to approve.
We have a motion by Mason and a second by Peterson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 36. Jordan?
Item 36 is first reading Ordinance number 5811, an ordinance specifying who may institute amendments to the zoning of property and the comprehensive plan by amending section 17.54.040 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, and I move to approve.
We have a motion by Mason and a second by Brown to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 37 is first reading ordinance number 5812, an ordinance repealing section 17.50.050 through 17.50.105 regarding planned developments and adopting new planned development overlay district, planned unit development zoning district, and administrative exception regulations, and I move to approve.
Motion by Mason, second by Doyle. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 39.
Item 38 is first reading ordinance number 5803, supplemental appropriation number 2 for 2012, and I move to approve.
Motion by Mason and a second by Peterson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And now we're on 39. Go ahead.
Item 39 is first reading ordinance number 5813, an ordinance to update alcoholic beverage license regulations by amending Chapter 5.12 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, and I move to approve.
Motion by Mason and a second by Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 40.
Item number 40 is first reading ordinance number 5814, and this is rezoning from office commercial district to general commercial district located at the northwest corner of the intersection of East Stoomer Road and Shelby Avenue, and I move to approve with stipulations.
We have a motion by Mason and a second by Roberts. And Brett Limbaugh, I'd like to go to you. If you could briefly talk about items 40, 41, and 42 in context of the procedures that we've been using and your recommendations as we go forward, if you'd please.
Yeah, South Dakota law requires that the council hear a rezoning request twice. And it's been the practice, at least within the last several years, to do the first reading prior to the item going to Planning Commission. As a result, you really shouldn't talk about it because you don't have really a recommendation yet. This item, 41 and 42, will be going to Planning Commission on Thursday. They'll hear it, make a formal recommendation to you, and then you'll have to hear this one more time. I'll be bringing a memorandum forward to Legal and Finance fairly soon, asking you to go back to more of a linear format where the Planning Commission will give you a recommendation first, then you'll hear this at first reading, you can take comment, and then the second would be more of a consent. In this way, you don't have to worry about doing any approvals prior to Planning Commission hearing the case. I think that's the appropriate way to handle these things. I'm not sure if our city attorney would like to chime in and has anything to add, but I should be bringing something forward fairly soon.
Okay. The motion on the floor is to approve first reading. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries with 1 no from Charity Doyle. Item number 41. Jordan?
Item number 41 is first reading ordinance number 5815, and this is rezoning from office commercial to general commercial again, and this is located at the northeast corner of the intersection of East Stoomer Road and Shelby Avenue. And I move to approve.
Motion by Mason, second by Roberts. We'll go to Bonnie Peterson. Bonnie?
I would like to make a substitute motion to send these, kick them back out and let them go through the Planning Commission and then come back so we can, instead of waiting for us to just kick them back. So let's see what my substitute motion would be, that we would let these 2 ordinances go through the Planning Commission before they come back to us.
All right, the motion is on item 41, which is what's in front of us now. Brad, what's your recommendation on the motion? To continue until after Planning Commission?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be easiest just to go ahead and continue them until the Planning Commission has heard the cases. And that's for 41 and 42. There's also item 40.
Okay.
Your choice.
And we'll take the motion on 41, and then we'll go to 42, and if someone wants to offer a motion to reconsider 40, that is something that we can do if the council would like. So we have a motion by Peterson. Do we have a second to continue item 41 until after the Planning Commission hearing? We have a second by Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 41 has been continued. 42, Jordan?
Yes, Mayor, and not sure, but would this be the time to make the motion to reconsider item 40?
That would be fine.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mason and a second by Davis to reconsider item number 40. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item has been reconsidered. Jordan, if you could read it in the record one more time.
Sure, no problem. This is first reading ordinance number 5814, rezoning from office commercial district to general commercial district, and this is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of East Homer Road and Shelby Avenue, and I move to continue.
Okay. Motion is to continue, and a second by Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 42, Jordan?
42, first reading ordinance number 5816, and this is rezoning from general commercial district to medium density residential district, and this is located at 809 and 811 Fairview Street, and I move to continue.
Motion by Mason, second by Roberts to continue item 42 until after the Planning Commission hearing. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item number 43, Gary Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. 43 is a request by Dream Design International Incorporated for Hague Development for a preliminary plat for proposed lots 2, 3, and 4 of Block 1 of Gateway Business Park subdivision, located southwest of the intersection of East Small Drive and Outfitter Road. I move to approve with stipulations.
Second.
Motion by Brown, second by Roberts. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 44, Gary?
A request by Davidson Engineering Incorporated for a preliminary plat for proposed lots 8, 9, 10, and 11 of Block 7, Lots 7 and 8 of Block 8, Lots 7, 8, and 9, and 10 of Block 10 of Murphy Ranch Estate subdivision, located at the current eastern terminus of Weston Road and Knuckle Duster Road. Approved with stipulations.
Motion by Brown and a second by Laurenti. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 45.
A request by Franklin O. Simpson for a layout plat for proposed Tract R of Fountain Springs Business Park, located as a portion of the updated portion of the southeast, south half of the northeast quarter lying south of Interstate 90. It's located on the south side of North Plaza Drive, approximately 450 feet east of the intersection of Fountain Plaza Drive and North Plaza Drive. Move to approve with stipulations.
Second. Motion by Brown, second by Laurenti. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 46, Jordan.
Item number 46 is the event permit for summer nights for June 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th, and July 5th, 12th, 19th, 26th, and August 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. And I will yield the floor.
We have a motion by Peterson and a second by Davis. And we'll go to Steve Laurenti. Steve?
Well, I wanted to speak about this item because apparently the discussion in the Legal and Finance meeting got a very good discussion going in the community, which is exactly what I was looking for. I definitely wanted to voice my comments about all of us making sure that, and this includes the great committee that puts this together every year, and I want to applaud them. Absolutely great job, Sandy. Thank you. But that we want to make sure that we shape and form this as some of them have actually stated themselves, that we make sure that it reflects the what the people want here in Rapid City, and that it reflects a good value of our city. And so I think we're doing a good job of that. I think the chief spoke about that at the Legal and Finance meeting. And although it didn't get into print, some of the context of my comments and my vote during that time, but the fact was that I wanted to bring up this discussion and talk about it so that we all could discuss the very different parts of summer nights, what we enjoy, what we don't enjoy, and it sounds like that's what has occurred. And so I wanted to speak about that and to voice my support going forward so that we are always looking at this to make sure that it reflects the values of the committee. And I appreciate your hard work. Thank you, Sandy.
Jerry Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I've always supported this, and I commend the committee and people that work together on it. It's a wonderful thing. I think it's a direction Rapid City needs to continue, and I applaud Malcolm's direction with the committee to work at ways of improving it. I was also at that meeting. I didn't find any negative comments. I think we just need to work on ways to improve it, and I'm here to help you. Thank you.
Ron Sasso.
Thank you. I think everybody is pretty much in agreement that Summer Nights is great for Rapid City. I think you see that as evidenced by the spread of it through the Black Hills. The question regarding the alcohol, I think, was a legitimate one, and I appreciate Chief Allender. I had requested some data, just clarification regarding DUI arrests, and just wanted to make sure that the data was, if it's for Thursday night, was until that evening. And basically, looking at the data indicates that there's a little more over the last, since 2008 through 2011, there's a little more of a concern for DUIs in September, October, and November than there are in June, July, and August for Thursday nights. So to me, that's one of the best arguments, I think, in support of that, because you know, one thing to hear that there aren't the DUI arrests Thursday night and that people are going to the bars and it's Friday morning and they're getting arrested. This includes that data, and so I really do appreciate that, Chief Allender, and I don't know if there's anything you would like to add to that, or no. Thank you very much.
Jordan Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. I as well, I am a strong supporter of Summer Nights. I've made a comment before with the Hills Alive event at one point that any event in this city that supports family values and also generates sales tax, I'm a fan of. And you do both, just like Hills Alive does both. So, you know, I like the idea of those two things coming into the community. However, I didn't speak at the last Legal and Finance because as the chair, I do try and stay objective. But there was one comment that I did want to bring up as a point of consideration. In your application in the past 2 years, we've seen significant growth, which has been tremendous. And kind of like Ushland Technologies, another company here in town, there's a good problem that they're facing. They're growing at such a rate that they're having to figure out ways of how to expand at the rate that they're expanding with their business. I kind of see a similarity here in that Summer Nights is expanding at a rapid rate each and every year. About a year ago, you put in a memo that you didn't foresee that you would expand at 100%, but this year you said that probably expanded another 40% increase that you saw, which is wonderful. However, with that expansion, there was also in the April 27th of last year memo, you also noted that there was some concerns, and to quote, that such problems may occur if the event becomes more crowded. We also worry about the ability of emergency personnel to respond to problems or medical emergencies if the street and sidewalks are as crowded as they were last year. My concern here is that we've handled it very well, but we are growing at a significant rate. The rate of that growth, along with Main Street Square and along with Civic Center events around the same time, I am concerned about the emergency response. While I think this is a great event, I think we do also need to have a safe event. And I realize that this is a concern that has been brought up before, but when we're talking about 12,000, 13,000, and realistically, I could see this event growing upwards to 20,000 people in the next 5 years. I think this is something to consider on how we're going to contain this or move it or, work with some of these alternatives. The reason I bring this up is there's been a number of opportunities to address these earlier on, but unfortunately, starting last year in November, the forum, and to no fault of Summer Nights, got rescheduled, and a lot of these discussions weren't able to take place. Now that they have, I think we have seen a lot of the good and bad come forward, but I do think this is one of those considerations that we should discuss tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan, and we'll go to Gary Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. You have total support from this individual for the event and that. Just one thing I would caution you on, you've had that flag of the alcohol concern raised about you. The chief came up with stats, only 2 people in 4 years have been arrested for an alcohol-related. That speaks well for your organization and for the event. I just caution you to address it, though, and make sure the perception does not become reality. And if anybody should be able to understand that, it should be an ex-Marine company commander to help you reach the right decisions on that. So, good luck.
Thank you, Gary. We'll go to Bonnie Peterson. Bonnie?
Yes, I want to thank all the people that work with Summer Nights, not only Sandy, but all the people that stood up and all the people that turn out, all the different groups on Thursday night that turned this into such a wonderful event for the citizens of Rapid City. And Malcolm, thanks for your leadership. And then Alderman Mason, I believe that perhaps this new committee that is forming, bringing all the stakeholders together, and I believe Alderwoman Doyle is going to be serving on that also with, I think that they, will work. It's just that that's what's so great about this is that as it's so successful, concerns get raised, and I think with this committee, we'll have, all the stakeholders at the table so can look at these issues and try to plan ahead for safety issues and all in the future. So thank y'all very much for all your work, and I know that people really enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I've talked to several people from different states and countries that have come to Rapid City on summer night and enjoy it. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Bonnie. We'll go to Richie Nordstrom. Richie?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple of questions, if I may, for a couple of different people. One is in the audience and one is for staff, if I may, Mayor. Sandra, could I ask you a couple of questions, if I may, please, about I heard some comments in Legal and Finance. This was your event is being billed as a family event, if I've got the quote correctly. Could you help me address that issue about the family event?
Certainly. We have never billed it as a family event. We set out to create an arts and entertainment festival that was family friendly. I guess to me the difference is the YFS Kids Fair is a family event. The Shrine Circus is a family event. A concert at the fair, the Demolition Derby. Those are entertainment events that are family friendly, as is the Rush. And so I guess that's the difference is we wanted the event to be something that people would feel comfortable bringing their kids to, but first and foremost, it's a musical entertainment festival.
Mr. Mayor, for Sandra again, if I may, Sandra, is that you've got it up on, excuse me, you've got it up on your website. You come join, that you have a quote on there that says, come join us for a great night of music, food, beer, and fun activities for the entire family. I just want to kind of emphasize that point, is that's for the entire family. And you do state that you do serve beer there.
Correct. It's always said that on our website. We don't advertise, come down and drink beer. That's the only thing we do at Summer Nights. But we don't hide the fact that we serve beer because we don't want anybody to come down who is morally opposed to alcohol or doesn't want their children exposed to it to come down and be surprised that it's there. All of our posters and all of our advertising has a little logo in the corner that either says Bud or Budweiser on it, and we do that because it subtly says to the public, if you come to this event, there's going to be beer. So we've never hidden that fact.
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that explanation. The next question is for Chief Mike Multivern, if I may. Chief, one of the other concerns that we've started addressing here, and I believe, if I understand, is he left. He left me. He knew I was going to ask this, so he left.
Stand in, so go ahead.
A backup, okay. Right, yes, a fire response would be appropriate, yeah. Rod? Thank you for being here and bailing me out, if you may. I apologize.
Well, I'm not sure what you're going to ask first, and I don't think I'm bailing you out, I'm bailing Mike out. So.
Thank you. One of the concerns is that we've heard in previous comments is the emergency vehicles going through or around this area. Could you address the contingency plan that you have for Thursday night?
It's definitely something we monitor every Thursday. We look at how backed up traffic could get or does get, and we keep our crews informed so that they know different routes they could take. I think in the future, as this thing does continue to grow, it's something that we'll definitely continue to monitor and take a look at and see how can we sit down with Summer Nights and maybe plan, what if it's an emergency event that's occurring in the middle of the summer night. So we need to take a look at, pre-planning this in the future as it does continue to grow, and we do have some options with that. So, and I'm sure the chief would like to add in there. I'm out.
Chief Multivern, have you got any additional comments for me?
I did get my wife's car running, so that crisis is averted. What's the question?
Is briefly a contingency plan for Thursday evenings when the Summer Nights activities are taking place.
Well, our contingency plan, first off, is built into the location of our fire stations. We're strategically loaded throughout the city, so should an event occur on either the east side of the city or the west side of the city, we can quickly shift our resources basically out of the responses out of those fire stations. So it's a concern for that east-west travel and a little bit of the way the geography of Rapid City is set up with the main thoroughfare going through the gap. It's a concern. I will say with 1 year under our belt of basically avoiding Main Street altogether, number one, basically just due to the closure, but the biggest concern for us is the pedestrian traffic. So we've been able to put a year under our belt really with no significant problems caused by it. So that's about all I can say for now.
Good enough. I just wanted to say, Mayor, this is one of the groups that we have here in the city of Rapid City that's experiencing growing pain, and it's a nice problem to hear that they are experiencing a growing pain in this fashion. And there's a good group of people that are taking a look of all the aspects of this. So I'm real comfortable with what the group and this new board is doing, and the leadership that they're trying to do with addressing all of the concerns. And if I can make it one more suggestion to the Summer Nights board, is that maybe perhaps include the word variety of family events, not just events for the entire family, but they have a variety of events, because I understand what they're dealing with as far as, if you recall, we were experiencing a swapping of terms when we were dealing with length of terms for the city council. It also got swapped with term lengths. The public was perceiving that was another measure that we were trying to do. And I know that some other similar experiences have taken place. So if we can start using it as a term of a variety of events for the family, I think that will help dispel just one aspect of it, so it's more than just a family event. So we have a variety. Thank you, Mayor. I'm so glad you guys are having this problem, and I'm sorry you're going through this growing pains, but it's a great problem that I like to see. Thank you, Mayor. I'll yield the floor.
John Roberts. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to let the Summer Night staff know that I completely support this. I think I missed 2 last year. Enjoyed it very much. My only concerns have been with public safety, like Mr. Mason. If something happened on the west side, and I'm going to kind of direct this towards our fire chief, if something happened on the west side, and there just happened to be a train running through town, and you can look at a lot of these different scenarios, wouldn't it be much easier to have this event on some off arterial streets rather than on the main street going right through downtown?
Thank you, Mayor. That's a great question. The deal is we could what if it to death. When a train is run through downtown Rapid City, it basically splits the city between north and south. So we have to adjust our response around the train. That happens every day for roughly 5 to 7 minutes. I don't know DM&E's specific schedule, but multiple times a day we have to adjust our route to a response based on the train. We could have a wind event, and a tree could be down over a main thoroughfare. We adjust our route. We have good electronic mapping in our fire engines. We can build in route closures. We can have bridges washed out by floods. We're a pretty dynamic response agency. I just can't really say that we're having much effect because of summer nights. And I understand the concern, and certainly I'm appreciative of public safety being brought to the forefront in this discussion, but at this time I just don't see a big problem posed from it. Now, I'm not saying that couldn't happen some night downtown, but I'm fairly certain with our capabilities that we can overcome it.
Thank you very much, Chief. I have one more question, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Mayor. This is directed to Sandy Swan. Is she still in the audience?
Yeah, I'm just short.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. I've had some people come forward wondering why you only have one beer distributor. Some people would like to have a variety.
Well, we do have a variety. It just comes from one distributor.
Variety of Budweiser.
That's an excellent question. And what it comes down to is service. I think the best analogy is the first year we used 2 beer distributors, and we used 2 Jumping Castle distributors. And then in year 2, we had to make some decisions based on the service we got in year 1. The Jumping Castle people, one would deliver it, the other one said, no, you come and get it and bring it back. And we were kind of done with that. Pauline was on my team that year, and it's not a fun job. So we went with we've always used the same Jumping Castle company for service. The same thing happened with the beer distributor. One distributor showed up, serviced the event, helped us haul the product away, helped us count it, helped us track our inventories, and helped us clean up every night. And the other distributor dropped their product on the side of the street, drove off before I was even there at the event, and I had to store it in my garage for the entire summer. So in year 2, we decided, do we want to use both companies or one? The board voted to use one of each of those 2 vendors. And going forward, we've just decided that every year we're going to use one, and we vote every year on which one it will be.
And do they still come forward to you every year to the board and ask to be a part of this event, or do you just block everybody out except for the one vendor? Just out of curiosity.
From a beer distributor standpoint, they came in year 2 and asked, and the board, but the board had already voted. And in year 3, they asked if they could present a proposal, but the board had already voted. They asked us in May if they could come down in June. By May, we've made a lot of decisions, and we're ready to rock and roll. So no, they did not ask this year.
So if anybody wants to come forward, when do they have to come forward to ask your board whether they can be?
Before the first of the year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Most decisions are made then. Thank you.
I appreciate it. That's everything, Mayor.
And we'll go to Dave Davis. Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a couple questions for Malcolm Chapman. Malcolm, you still there? Malcolm, you've done a lot of work on this project, and were the facilitator for the town hall meeting. Given what you've heard tonight, and based on what you had at the town hall meeting, would you give us kind of a little broader brush overview of your opinion of some of the concerns that you've heard and the questions that you've heard tonight?
Council President Davis, thank you. What I didn't do when I was up here before, and I appreciate the opportunity to come back up, I didn't read a list of the concerns. I mean, I know you all have them, but maybe the public would like to hear them. But when I asked the question about what are your concerns, the answers that came back were parking, closing Main Street so early on Thursdays, how to expand the vendor participation, the general setup of the event, communication with downtown businesses, the ID policy as it relates to wristbands around alcohol, transportation, potential use of trolleys or other means for seniors to transport to and from the event, more things for teens and seniors to do, art alley as a hangout for youth, a need for more tables or seating areas, and then an overemphasis of alcohol. And then the group that came forward as the stakeholders to then deal with these issues were the City of Rapid City, and highlighted was public safety, transit, Parks and Rec, downtown businesses, the Summer Nights Executive Committee, downtown churches, youth, seniors, the CVB, and Main Street Square. And I didn't read the recommendations, but the recommendations clearly, I think, speak to what the council and what the public has said here tonight, that there are some concerns, and that this stakeholder group that I just read was and is being formed to address those issues. I think every single issue that the council has addressed and brought up, I think, has been identified by the public. And again, I would just ask the council to just give some space to that, the formation of that committee, to let them work on those things. That advisory committee would then look at the scope of the work that they're going to do and how long they should work. One of the things that came out as a recommendation for the advisory committee was to explore other footprint options and the overall event, and other recommendations for Summer Nights Executive Committee. And then, I mean, the game has changed downtown, and Summer Nights Executive Committee would say so as well. A year ago, 5 years ago, when this started, there was no Main Street Square. So the game has changed. So what's the relationship between Main Street Square and Summer Nights and the use of Main Street Square? So I think that all of those things are should be on the table for this advisory group to look at. I didn't say the recommendation that I made to the council, even though it's listed, is that downtown businesses have said, what about us? We don't feel, some of them have said, what about us? And I made a recommendation to consider that the city council consider an ordinance allowing downtown businesses to expand their business outside for special events like Summer Nights. And I think that's up to the city council to define what is a special downtown event. And then, and this came from Chief Malterburn at the meeting, but that Summer Nights as a committee needs to look at some sort of succession plan. You know, there are downtown events that take place in other communities that lasted for 10s and 20 years. What does this look like? Who's the leadership of this 10 years from now or 20 years from now, that this group start looking at some sort of a sustainability plan? And I think from a global perspective, all of those things are things that the council has pointed out as concerns, and I think it's right and proper that the council has concerns and would allow some space for this advisory committee to do its work. I hope I answered your question, and thank you for giving me a little leeway there.
Thank you, Malcolm. You have, and I think there's two things that I want to add to that, as long as I have the floor, Mr. Mayor. The one is, I hope that someone will certainly take a hard look at one of the suggestions that Malcolm and the committee have brought forward, and that is that we take a look at an ordinance change that allows the downtown businesses to extend their opportunities out onto the sidewalk. And I realize we have a safety issue of being able to move public, but that's something I hope that we can get before the Legal and Finance and in a very short order. But that given, that we're not going to be acting on that tonight, and based on the recommendations that we have from Malcolm and the committee that he's put together, or that had been put together through his efforts, and the town hall meeting that was held a few weeks ago, I hope that this council goes ahead and approves this application and allows the advisory group to go ahead and address these issues. Thank you.
Joel, would you like to address the issue regarding the sidewalk vending? That's something that's been in discussion already.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We've been directed to bring something forward to look at, and I can also tell you, having been involved with Summer Nights for the last few years, that whether or not it was legally permitted, that many of the businesses were already taking advantage of the space in front of their business, so long as they weren't blocking the sidewalk, it wasn't an issue. I think we can do something quick that would hopefully allow that. I don't anticipate doing anything as detailed as the vendor ordinance. I think I would just put something general in, and we may have that on the next legal and finance agenda, so could potentially be ready to go prior to Summer Nights or very soon after it begins.
Thank you, Joel. And we'll go to Ron Sasso. Ron?
Thank you. Couple other thoughts. Any chance of an adult jumping tent?
I can tell you what the exact weight and height requirements are, so it's fewer adults, but it is possible.
Oh, good. Okay. It gets me hopeful there. So I'll try to lose a little more weight and see what we can do with that. But I wanted to also, Alderman Brown brought up a really good point regarding the alcohol, that looking at that, we want to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. The numbers look good. The numbers look good, and we definitely want to make sure that it stays that way. And expanding the arts aspect of what is going on down there, I think would be fantastic. Everybody is in agreement. It's a wonderful, wonderful event for Rapid City. And then the other thing, and I know the question regarding the cost that the city is bearing, which is a very good question, because yes, there's police and fire and as far as what we are having to do, but we also know, just like when we look at a lot of other things that come to Rapid City, that we're also generating a lot of sales tax revenue, and that is something that really, when we look at the sales tax revenue, my hunch is that would probably be offsetting our costs on that. It would be great to have that definitive, whether or not that is doing so, but I would like to think that we probably are in a much better position. And also, I also wanted to thank Malcolm Chapman. That Summer Nights Forum was very objective, and that's something that I think it would have been very easy to go in and say, okay, everybody loves Summer Nights, right? And really set the tone that way, but instead it was, okay, let's hear it. Where's everybody standing? So that was excellent, really appreciative. And I think, to my surprise, as well as some other people, there really weren't many negative comments. They were pretty much buried, and you heard the entire list. So support it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to just have a few moments to say a few things. I've been watching this discussion, and I really appreciate the discussion. My daughters and I, my daughters are ages 10, 9, and 5, and we've been going to Summer Nights just about every Thursday night for the last several years, and my daughters absolutely love it. It is a family event, for our family anyway, and I do not drink. My friends in college used to call me Toucan Sam, and I don't handle alcohol very well, and so I don't drink. And a number of years ago, I lost a good friend in an alcohol-related accident, and I'm just not into alcohol, but I have been at Summer Nights many times. I have never once seen someone falling down drunk. I've never seen a fight. I've never seen a problem. I think there are some growing pains that have occurred in part because of Summer Nights, but I think they're growing pains that are good growing pains to have. Terry Nelson and I walked down Art Alley the other day, and there's some efforts that need to be made to address, some of the graffiti that is now in our alley. I'm thinking ahead to the translating that I would have to do if I walk my daughters down that alley, and that's not good. But that is something that, again, I look at as a positive. It's something that we need to address as our downtown becomes more attractive. And this is infectious. What's happening here is being talked about across the state. And I recently ran into the mayor of Sioux Falls at a municipal league meeting, and he pointed out he knew what was happening in our downtown, and he wanted part of that. And it's something that's very, very exciting. Steve Allender and I had been talking about this, and one of the things he mentioned to me is he said that we do 300. Our police department handles service for 300 funerals approximately every year, and that's something that we don't have to do. We do it because we believe that it's the right thing to do for our citizens, and many of the citizens that we provide service for, both with the funeral escort service and then on a more positive note, summer nights, are people that very seldom interact with our police department. And this is a positive thing also for our police department. And yes, there are additional costs of patrolling summer nights, but they are far outweighed by the benefits of the event itself. And my wife is a dental hygienist, and I will tell you she has a very serious moral opposition to sugar. And there's a lot of sugar that flows at summer nights as well. But in all seriousness, I understand the problems that people have with alcohol. I really do, and I appreciate the concerns. What I don't want is for the headline to be "Mayor defends alcohol at summer nights." What I'd like for people to understand is we will continue to keep an eye on the concerns. Our police department and Sandy and others are committed to continuing to address the issues as they come up. We simply haven't had very many issues come up. If people have concerns, they're welcome to bring them forward. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank Malcolm for the excellent job that he did the other night of running that forum. Those are my comments, and I hope this event continues for many years to come. We'll now go to Gary Brown. Are there any objections to calling the question? Question's been called. Motion on the floor is for approval. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Chair calls for a 10-minute recess. We'll come back at 8:15. We will reconvene our meeting. We're on item number 47, bids. Pauline Sumption, our finance officer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first bid is for a water reservoir maintenance project. We received 4 bids on this project, and the recommendation is to award the total bid in the amount of $422,605 to RCS Construction, Inc.
We have a motion by Peterson and a second by Laurenti. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. 48, Pauline.
48 is for 2 new current year model heavy-duty front mower 72-inch four-wheel drive rotary motors for the Parks and Recs Department. We received 4 bids on this item as well, and the recommendation is to award the bid to Turf Works in the amount of $35,688.
Motion by Brown and a second by Peterson to award to Turf Works. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. 49.
49 is for the street rehabilitation project on East Denver Street area. We received 2 bids on this project. The recommendation is to award the bid to Hills Materials Company in the amount of $248,337.74.
Motion by Doyle and second by Sasso. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Gary wants.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Mayor, I need to abstain from this vote as my brother-in-law works as superintendent for Hills Material.
Abstention noted. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries with 1 abstention from Gary Brown. Pauline?
Next item is the East St. Joseph Street Overlay and Water Main Reconstruction Project. We received 3 bids on this. The recommendation is to award the base bid plus alternate 2 and 3 to Hills Materials Company in the total amount of $1,276,888.27.
Okay. We have a motion by Nordstrom and a second by Sasso, and Gary, you'll also be abstaining on this item?
Yes, Mayor,
For the
I
same
will.
reason?
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries with 1 abstention from Gary Brown.
Next item is the Meadowbrook Maintenance Yard Project. We received 4 bids on this project. Recommendation is to award the bid to Hills Materials Company in the amount of $97,429.60.
Okay. We have a motion by Peterson and a second by Doyle, and we also have an abstention from Gary Brown for the same
Yes,
reasons.
Mayor,
as
thank you.
before. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries with 1 abstention from Gary Brown.
The last item is actually, we just need your concurrence with the award of the bid for the Dinosaur Park concession building. If you recall, this was an emergency process declaration, and so the low bid came in from Mountaintop Construction in the amount of $115,665. Concur, please.
Motion by Peterson and a second by Sasso to concur. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll go to item number 53. This is for a reappointment of Phyllis Okrepke and Cheryl Peterson to the Humane Society Board of Directors for 3-year terms effective April 1 of 2012. We have a motion by Wright and a second by Peterson for approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 53A regarding an update on the Compass program. We'll go to Charity Doyle. Charity?
Thank you, Mayor. This is obviously a pretty big project for the City Council. I mean, we've never before had a department, if you will, underneath us. And I've had some questions. I like how people are stepping up and saying, hey, can we look at this? Can we look at that? Is it up and running? And the answer is no. I'd like to say otherwise. We have been interviewing for the position of lead auditor on this project. Second round finished up today. The committee is very excited about the candidates. Our goal is to have that position filled this month, and the secondary position advertised for and filled as well soon after. Data collecting, et cetera, for the first Compass plan to begin, with the goal of that first plan coming out sometime in July, so that we have something to work with right away, even for the next half of the fiscal year 2011 or 2012. That said, we'd like to encourage City Council as well as department directors that may be listening to this and managers to begin thinking of areas they would like to see increased efficiencies, but have thus far been unable to fish out a way or come up with a way as a means to that end. We will send out a formal request for that information once the staff is in place. but I like how Alderman Sasso and others are thinking ahead on this, and this really is going to be a team effort. If you do have questions that you feel have not been addressed, please route them through myself or anyone on the Compass Committee, and I'll work harder on keeping you updated. There just hasn't been much to inform you on until today, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on item 53A? Seeing none, we'll go to 53B. Update from John Roberts. John? Do we have a motion to acknowledge? So moved. Motion by Davis and a second by Sasso to acknowledge 53A. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This is going to be brief. Tonight I want to give my fellow council members and the mayor and the citizens of Rapid City a briefing on my very short trip to Washington, D.C. First, I want to thank Jerry Cole, who is back in the break room sick tonight. He said he brought back a cold from Washington. And his staff for putting together a history of what we have done so far with our pine beetle epidemic in our city limits. He did a wonderful job with that. He went through everything that we have done so far and some things that we're going to be doing in the future, just so that our representatives in Washington would know what's been done, how much we've spent, etc. Jerry has packets of this if anybody would like to take a look at them. First, I'll give you a short overlay of my trip to D.C. I left Rapid City last Tuesday at 12 p.m. and with minor delays was in D.C. about 11 p.m. I had meetings all day Wednesday, roughly until 4:30, with our representatives in the House and the Senate, and left early Thursday and was back in Rapid City by 12:30 in the afternoon. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I know anybody that knows me knows how critical I've been towards unnecessary government travel, and I believe in this case it wasn't. I had the opportunity to talk with our Congresswoman Kristi Noem and one of her staff members. We talked to her staff member roughly for about 30 minutes before the Congresswoman came in and talked to us for about 10, maybe 15. And our Senator John Thune and two of his staff members, roughly the same scenario, about 30 minutes with the staff members and about 15 minutes with Senator Thune. Senator Johnson was busy that day. We didn't get a chance to talk to him, but we did talk to one of his staff members for about 20 minutes. What I brought to the attention of our representatives while I was in Washington was the severity of our pine beetle problem and the overwhelming possibility of a catastrophic fire in the future. What I talked to them about was if they could change the way the appropriation of the federal money is allocated, and the way it's done, we all know, is emergency money for pine beetle mitigation comes from the federal government, goes to the state, and then it's distributed amongst the Forest Service and the counties. And the cities that are impacted by the pine beetle epidemic are not entitled to any of this money. My suggestion was to incorporate the cities that are affected by the pine beetles into this pool by either allowing them to ask for some of this money or by a percentage to the cities that are within these boundaries. I also pointed out that even when or if we can get ahead of the pine beetle problem, then we're also going to have a huge problem with fire mitigation. Hopefully, the sense I got from our representatives was they're very interested in this and they're going to look at changing these ways that this money is appropriated. Now it's our responsibility to keep some pressure on our people in Washington, D.C. to make sure that this happens. But I do think that this trip was very, very productive. I think this is going to be coming in the near future. And I want to thank everybody, especially council leadership and the mayor, for letting me go on this trip. And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you for the report. Do we have a motion to acknowledge the report?
So moved.
We have a motion by Davis and a second by Peterson to acknowledge the report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We are now on public hearing items 54 through 62. Do we have a motion to open public hearing on 54 through 62? Do we have a motion? Motion by Sasso, second by Brown. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. I do not have any speaker request forms for these items. Public hearing will remain open at this time. Do we have a motion to continue item 54 until April 16?
Second.
Motion by Mason, second by Roberts. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Second.
Okay, motion by Davis, second by Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're now in the consent public hearing items 55 through 59. If no one has any item to remove from consent, can we approve those items? We have a motion. We have a motion by Brown, second by Roberts to approve 55 through 9. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 60, Jordan Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 60 is Safeway Store 46 Incorporated, and this is on the corner of Elkvale Road and Concourse Drive for a package off-sale liquor license. And I'll yield the floor.
Motion by Nordstrom and a second by Doyle. And we'll go to Pauline Sumption.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would ask that this be approved with the stipulations that are attached in the memo, please.
Okay, and that's the understanding, and that's okay with the seconder? Okay. And Pauline, there was some discussion earlier today regarding the price of the license. Is that something that is decided at this time, or is it?
I failed to look at that, and I apologize. I will, at this time, I believe it was a $1,500 license. No, Charlene's shaking her head, no. Charlene might be able to tell us how much the license was.
The package liquor that they're looking at here is $500.
$500. And that's set under state law?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Motion is for approval with stipulations. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 61.
Item 61 is second reading ordinance 5810, and this rezoning from general agricultural district to medium density residential district. And this is at the intersection of Fountain Plaza Drive and North Plaza Drive. And I yield the floor.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Wright and a second by?
Second.
John Roberts. Any discussion? Seeing, we'll go to Jordan Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have just one question, given that this is a medium-density residential that will be abutting light industrial, as well as some heavy commercial in the area, and I just wanted to ask our Brett Limbaugh about, if we're going to continue going down this road, because I've noticed that we have made some of these abutting properties where there is light industrial next to high concentration residential, and I was just kind of somewhat concerned about going down that road. If I could maybe get a response.
Brett Limbaugh.
Yeah, this property is somewhat in transition. There is industrial on one side of the street, and the rest of it to the other side is in that agricultural category. So you will see this area transition. It would appear that it is going residential if you approve this, and so that would be what we would approve in the future.
I guess more along the lines, I'm wondering if there's any plan to create a buffer zone, especially as this transitions between the two. And secondly, if there's any sort of environmental effects that could be had with the fact that it's abutting light industrial.
Yeah, with each application, we're going to take a look at what buffering mechanisms we should put into place, whether or not that's for areas across a street or directly adjacent to them, whether it's a landscape buffer, fencing buffer, walls. What we might be able to do to mitigate any adverse impacts. So that's part of the evaluation that the staff looks at with each individual zoning application. And I think what we need to do is not be too afraid to commingle some of these land uses. I think it's very appropriate for residential and commercial to be located right next to each other. You'll see it all across the country. If it's done well, then they can peacefully coexist. So we've got a great staff, and I think they look at all those factors when they give a recommendation to our Planning Commission. And, of course, our Planning Commission does a great job, too, when they do their evaluation. So we're confident this application will work out fine.
Appreciate that. Unfortunately, I have some areas of town that I've personally lived nearby that unfortunately some of those abutting zones didn't work out as well. So I guess I'm a little more cautious on these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Any further discussion? The motion is for approval with stipulations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 62. Jordan?
Item 62, this is a request by Dream Design International for our Hag Development Incorporated, and this is a variance to the subdivision regulations to waive the requirement to install water and sewer along Interstate 90 to reduce the width of the common access and parking easement from 59 feet to 40 feet, and to waive the requirement to install a curb, gutter, sidewalk, street, light, conduit, water, and sewer along the common access and parking easement as per Chapter 1616 in the Rapid City Municipal Code, and this is located southwest of the intersection of East Mall Drive and Outfitter Road. And I move to approve.
With stipulations.
With steps. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by Mason and a second by Roberts to approve with stipulations. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 63, bill list. Pauline?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are no additions to the bill list, so the total bill list is that which is before you at $5,653,728.83.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Wright and a second by Laurenti.
It doesn't matter.
All in
Yeah, it
favor,
doesn't
say aye.
matter. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.